Good morning and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News. Well, good morning and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Trying to figure out where was my face. I know I'm the only person doing this, you guys. So sometimes I do mess up when I'm dealing with production. So good morning to everybody out there. And let's start our day off with honoring God with our body. So God, please guard our mind and our thoughts. God, help me to fix my thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. So I will think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. God, please protect our ears and help us listen to your voice. God, help us to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. God, please protect our eyes from sin's damage. God, I make a covenant with my eyes not to look lustfully. God, please speak life over my mouth. God, set a guard over my mouth. Lord, keep watch over the doors of my lips. God, please help our hands to serve generously. God, help me to do good to everyone, and especially to those who belong to our family in the faith. God, please protect our reproductive organs and help us to honor you, God, with purity. God, help me to honor you with my body. And God, please protect our feet as we walk along your path. God, let your word be a lamp for my feet and a light on my path. And if you are joining us for the first time, that is something we try to say daily on here on the show. So the next thing we're going to get into is our topics on X. I know we didn't do this yesterday, but we are going to get back into it today. So the first topic is New York reparations hearing sparked demands for 800,000 payouts and online backlash. And then we've got a viral clip of a childcare speaker fuels parents' trust debate. And then Newsom proposes felony, I cannot speak this morning, sorry, felony penalty for pre-certification ballot seizures. Interesting. So let's check out the first one. So this is New York reparations hearing sparks demands for 800,000 payouts and online backlash. So New York's Community Commission on Reparation Remedies, formed in 2023, held a May 30th public session in Harlem where attendees demanded massive cash payments like 800,000 each for foundational Black Americans, plus ideas for a new Freedmen's Bureau or dedicated bank. The state gradually ended slavery by 1827 and isn't a major slaveholding area, but the commission studies its legacy and disparities in wealth, education, and housing ahead of a 2029 report. A, a resurfaced clip drew sharp online criticism, labeling the proposals absurd and divisive, while supporters see them as restorative justice for systematic harms. Let's see if I can. So the New York State holds the first reparations hearing, demands for 800,000. Okay, just reading through it. Okay, freedom is real. Okay, that's the thing. Okay, all right. And Kathy Hochul is behind it. Now, my question is it really going to happen? Right? I mean, she's done a lot of things that have been symbolic in New York, but I don't know. I don't know. We'll see, right? Because, you know, reparations, yes, should be on the table. And in my opinion, it needs to be done at the federal level through the Freedmen's Bureau so that, similar to how the Indians have their separate um, monies, right, for whatever they need, descendants of slaves has theirs. And see, what people don't realize, this is not going to go to every melanated person. It would only be for those who would be able to prove their lineage. Yeah, that's what it goes back to. And quiet as it's kept, our reparations is actually already there at the federal level, um, but it's been hidden. And when I say it hidden, I mean they've put in people of color and BIPOC and all of these other terms and put people in to set asides that were set aside in 1965, actually. Yeah. So reparations has always been there for Black Americans. Some people refer as foundational Black Americans, the American Negro. They have been there. But unfortunately, people have known that they were there. And instead of, you know, groups like the Black Caucus and the NAACP and other organizations that you would think were there to help the American Negro, they have done nothing but make sure that we are not able to access those set asides. So I just want people to understand the money's already there. Now, when it comes to New York, I'm not sure about their budget, but at the federal level, it's already there. And in some states, it's there as well. It's under certain programs. And that's the thing. They've put them in programs, but if you don't know what the right, I say questions to ask, you don't know. You just don't. Now, the next one we're getting to is this is very interesting. So this is about the um, the child care worker, I guess it said. So in this clip shared on July 6th from Pennsylvania College of Technology features Clark, known as the child care whisperer, speaking at what appears to be a seminar for adult early childhood education students, not children. Okay. Critics like Rich Penkoski called it an effort to separate kids from parents, while others noted the professional context of advising future educators on boundaries with challenging parents. No response has come from Clark or the college as of July 8th, spotlighting divides between family authority and education training. So this is interesting because we are looking at a man in a skirt. That's not a kilt, that's a skirt. Okay, so parents, we must stay vigilant. A deeply concerning video has surfaced showing Tyhem Clark, widely known as the child care whisperer, wearing a dress and high heels while telling a group of, and it's not young children, it's adults. Remember, this is a seminar, that their parents cannot be their friends. But let's see the clip.
Everybody look at me. I'm getting ready to tell you something that's probably going to hurt your feelings, but I love you, okay? The parents are not your friends. I'm going to say it again because I want you to hear me. The parents are not your friends, okay? They cannot be trusted, all right? Everybody.
Now, see, I can understand the first part, saying your parents are not your friends. I get that part, right? Because sometimes, we can be a little bit too, I should say lenient, right? When your kids think of you as your friends, they don't have that respect for you. But to say that they cannot be trusted, no. Who are you supposed to go to if not your parents? You are supposed to be able to go to your parents to talk to them about any and everything, because these are the people that are caring for you. Now, I know in some instances that children feel like they can't go to their parents, or they go to their aunt or their uncles or their grandparents or whomever. But to say that your parents can't be trusted, what are you trying to instill in children? Even if this is a seminar and you're teaching other adults, this is how you deal with children. Sorry, no. Stop trying to separate children from their parents. This is the problem. The educational system and parenting is supposed to be an ecosystem for this child, so that when the parent sends the child to school, the parent has some type of knowledge of what's happening to their children in that school, and the teacher is effectively communicating with the parent, so that everybody's a part of this child's life. So that when this child goes to school, they're not like, okay, I can go somewhere and I can just do whatever I want to do, say whatever I want to say, and I don't ever have to communicate that with my parent. What? What? But that's what has been created, this division. And then they wonder why these kids are acting out. They're acting out because nobody has an authority over their lives. The school thinks, well, we're an authority. No, you're not. You're dismantling authority. Because if you're teaching them to disrespect their parents, how do you think they're going to respect you? Newsflash, they're not. They're not going to respect you. They're not going to respect their parents. They're not going to respect authority. They're not going to respect anybody, because they're going to feel like we don't have to. Because as children, they're going to be like, you know what? We know better than you, and you can't tell us anything. I might be stepping on some toes right now. I'm sure somebody out there is like, how were you in my house this morning when my kid said that to me? Because this is what's been created, and it's very unfortunate. Now let's get on to this next situation with Newsom. So Newsom announced plans Tuesday for legislation making it a felony to seize ballots before officials certify results, building on a May law that penalized unauthorized takes after Riverside County Sheriff's review found no fraud. He amid the measure at protecting the vote count amid national debates over election rules like the Trump-backed Save America Act requiring citizenship proof. Conservatives pushed back hard, calling it a shield for fraud and citing federal supremacy, while legal experts note states run elections but can't block national laws. This is scary, because there was something that they passed in California that says you couldn't even question election officials. You couldn't question them, or you could be arrested. they they are a wild bunch in California. Man, like my dad said, there are truly, truly granola bars. So it says, to anyone considering helping President Trump interfere with our election or our count, okay, will be prosecuted. Huh? That's why I'm moving forward with my new legislation that would make it a felony to seize ballots before the vote has been certified by state and county officials. So it's still not certified. What's today? Today's July 8th, baby. They're still counting in California. It's disgusting. Okay. Okay, let's see what he's got to say.
Helping President Trump interfere with our election or our count. If you violate California's laws, if you interfere with our voters, tamper with our ballots, or meddle in our election, you will be prosecuted. Doesn't matter who gave the order. That's why I'm moving forward with new legislation that would make it a felony to seize ballots before the vote has been certified by state and county officials. We will be the wall he cannot get past, because we believe that once an election is decided, the winner governs for everyone. That's the architecture of American liberty. Donald Trump, he doesn't believe in that architecture. Let me speak directly to anyone considering helping President Trump.
He is wild. What? You're preemptively doing this? So who are you threatened by? I'm sorry. oh my, Gavin. Okay. So now I want to get into some bookmarks. So this is Ice Cube. I'm not going to get into this one. I might get into that one later. This one I found interesting. So on July 2nd, I secretly recorded a training held by the Party for Socialism and Liberation where they discussed abolishing the Constitution, overthrowing the government, and replacing it with a socialist society. One participant is a leader in the NEA Teachers Union. Why am I not shocked? I'm not going to play this whole thing, but let's just take a listen to a little bit.
I'm going to go ahead and introduce our first speaker of the night, Satya, who's a nurse and a PSL organizer based in Atlanta.
A foundational step in the socialist reconstruction of society would be the creation of a new constitution. The current U.S. Constitution was drafted by the U.S. slave-owning class, and it enshrines the rights of capital. But the new constitution would enshrine and expand the rights of the working class. And millions of people will participate in constitutional conventions or popular constituent assemblies to draft and adopt this new constitution, unleashing a creative and collective process, which is far more democratic and participatory than our current system. Those of us who were long denied a voice in the political system would shape the new constitution. And the U.S. Constitution...
First of all, I don't know what she's talking about. Ma'am. Yeah, I get it. 1776. Yeah, slaves were not emancipated yet. Okay. And yeah, the Constitution was drafted by people who were slaveholders. All of that is true. But it grants rights to people, right? That nobody else has on the planet. And everybody's running here away from countries that practice socialism, by the way. So you just want to come here and destroy freedom too? Go back to a socialist country. Like, I really want these people to live in a socialist country for at least 2 years. You got to live there for 24 months, and we need proof of concept. We need the data. Because if you can't come back with the data, I don't want to hear about socialism anymore. Stop it. You are trust fund socialist and cupcake communist. You've never suffered. You are entitled. And you're just like, well, we should just have it like this. Stop. Why don't you work hard? Huh? Stop. Stop it. Socialism doesn't work because socialism relies on capitalism. But if you destroy capitalism, socialism dies because there's no money left. Who's working? Everybody can't work for the government. And then, by the way, where's the government getting the money? Because there's no money. There's no money. Nobody's going to work. Nobody's paying any taxes because there's no jobs, because the government doesn't want to compete with anybody. So there's no companies that actually are making anything. Has anybody really thought this through? Socialism is dumb. It never works. Calm down. Now, for the next thing we're going to get, my goodness, let's see. The FDA commissioner, Marty Makary, confirmed the FDA purposefully lied to the people for nearly 2 decades against dietary fats to help big pharma. Why are we shocked? People avoided fat and ate more sugar so pharma could sell them more drugs. Yeah. And the thing about it is, it depends on the type of sugar you're eating. So if you are eating processed sugar, right? Yeah, it's going to cause diabetes. It's going to cause all these different functions in your body. But there are some people that are, they're called themselves fruitarians or frugivores or whatever, and they eat mostly fruits, vegetables. You know what I'm saying? They have a more of a whole food, plant-based diet. They're doing okay. Dr. Sebi, he had the same thing, more of a whole food, plant-based diet. But there are other people, they can eat meat and it works for their body type. Now, me, if I eat a lot of meat, it'll work for a while, but I would get lupus from it. Okay? That's just my default. So I have to eat more fruits and vegetables. I have to balance things out a little bit differently. So we all eat differently. I think this whole one size fits all isn't good. Now, with the 8 more sugar, I would like to see where the more sugar is, because when it's that processed food, it's sugar and it's not natural sugars. Yeah, we're definitely, yeah, it's bad.
They suppressed the data for 16 years. 2 other large studies failed to show an association. Finally, the study trickled out in the medical literature. Nobody noticed it. Those on the low-fat group had higher rates of heart attacks. Why? Maybe because when you avoid fat, you have to pound food with carbohydrates, and often ultra-processed carbohydrates stripped of fiber and chopped up. It functions like sugar. We created a generation of children with low protein, high carbohydrates, sugar addiction, and burdened with ultra-processed foods. And what did we do as a medical field? Drugged them at scale. Those days are over. We are telling people the truth about food. They suppress.
Yeah, and like I said, it's not a one size fits all, and that's what a lot of these individuals, even, Mr. Makari, there is no one size fits all. There are recommendations and suggestions, and people really have to say, okay, this way of eating works for me, this way doesn't. This is why you have people that can eat the same way, and one person's gaining weight and one person's weight is stabilized and the other person's losing weight. That means everything's not working for everyone. That's why we have a variety of foods on the planet. I'm just saying we need to do better. Now, let's check out all sides. Now, this is going to bring me to my first video that I'm going to share with you guys. So the lawsuit alleges ICE violated man's First Amendment right. So a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement was sued on Monday over a First Amendment violation after agents showed up to a New York man's house over his criticism of the agency. It wasn't just his criticism, I think it's what he actually said. So let's check out the video.
New York man is now suing ICE and leaders of the Department of Homeland Security for sending federal officers to his door, warning him about an email that he sent to a former head of the agency. So David Strieber is now claiming that ICE officials are violating his First Amendment right to free speech after he emailed former ICE acting director Todd Lyons, calling him a, quote, monstrous human being, end quote, and then saying that he will never know peace and will torment himself until his last day on earth. So federal officers now showed up at Strieber's home when he was overseas, delivering him a warning notice saying that those remarks are a threat. Let's bring in Chief Legal Analyst Clive Rhodes to talk about this. So, I mean, there's a lot here to unpack. Kind of walk us through your thoughts first.
This is
Okay, so we got that, right? Now, what I wanted to go back to, so I put it through Grok really quick because I was like, what did this dude say? Right? And I found it. Let me see. I pulled it up. So this is what he said in his email. You are a monstrous human being and will go down in history as America's Reinhard Heydrich, the butcher. This was somebody who committed some heinous crimes. The way you are protecting the obvious execution in Minnesota, even as we see the videos, will lead to your downfall. Even Trump will turn on you before the end, and you will be a sad, despised man who eats himself alive with shame at your own pathetic weakness. You will never know peace. You will seek to lose yourself to escape the burden of knowing the truth about yourself, but wherever you go, you will find yourself. You will torment yourself until your last day on earth. Now, is this threatening? I don't think it's threatening. I think it's disparaging, right? To call somebody that they're going to, go down in history known as this butcher person, but it's still First Amendment. I don't see why they were going after him in the way they were. Maybe they were going after him to question him. They didn't arrest him because they could have, right? So you could totally sue ICE. it's but the context, right? So could it be considered government overreach and the criticisms of aggressive ICE enforcement? Okay, yeah. Now I want us to check out another video that I pulled just last year, what someone did.
The St. Lucie County man is in jail for posting videos on social media threatening to kill President Trump, giving specific details about how he would take the president's life.
Treasure Coast Bureau reporter Ari Hyde has that video as well as a reaction from the sheriff and neighbors.
The sheriff here tells me that I've actually been watching this suspect for a little bit more than a week now, concerned about his mental health. But he says when that suspect posted a video on social media threatening to kill President Donald Trump, he felt they had no other choice but to arrest him.
What's up, everyone? How are you doing today?
This is St. Lucie County resident Kendall Todd, and this is the video he posted on his social media platforms attacking President Donald Trump.
Donald Trump is the Antichrist.
The video is laced with profanities and is frequently confusing.
Donald Trump has personally made business decisions which have hurt so many different reincarnated Jesuses.
But it's toward the end of the 80-second video where his message to the president goes from confusing to threatening.
Fight me naked to the death. I'm gonna cut you up with a chainsaw and put you in acid.
He just kept escalating his behavior. He got the attention, obviously, of the United States Secret Service, and that got our attention.
And that's why Monday afternoon, the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office SWAT team and the Secret Service went to Todd's home on Metzger Street in Fort Pierce and arrested him.
Yeah, so you can call Donald Trump a knucklehead. I mean, you can say disparaging things about the president. You can. You can, because we have First Amendment. But when you start threatening, and because they were looking at this individual and they were like, he looks, he can get out of hand, right? He looks like he could be a threat to himself and others. Yeah, that's why you got arrested. Okay. Now this other person that ICE is going after, like I said, it was like, you could question him, but he's like, I'm just going to sue you for what? Like, now this is just a back and forth conversation. They're coming after you and you're like, you can't violate my First Amendment rights. And so you're going back after them. Again, this is going to be a whole symbolic thing that's going to be a wash. We might hear about it, but I'm like, really? Because a lot of the individuals that think like this individual, they're a part of the No Kings movement. I'm just saying. And some of those people in there, they're a little bit, interesting. So good morning, Spud. And I wanted to read Spud's comment because he was talking about the little socialist clip that I showed you guys earlier. It says, me neither. I don't know what she's talking about. The same Constitution, what our nation is founded upon, and has been amendment for adjustments for its foundational citizens, us. Yeah. So again, I will always say this, is our country perfect? No, because it's full of imperfect people, but we at least have a document that has a standard that we need to live up to. Okay. There's a standard there. All men are created equal. Are we? Okay. Then if we're not in certain instances, then we need to work on that. Right. So people feel equal. Now, when people are here illegally and they're like, we can have equality too. No, you can't. You need to go home because you're not under our jurisdiction. You are not a United States citizen. You need to get off the soil. Now, I know the only reason I'm bringing that up is because we have the whole Haitian thing. Now, people, you can get mad about it if you want to. We have over 300 legal ways to get into this country. Over 300. You were given temporary status while you were here. And the thing about TPS that people don't understand, it's not a way to citizenship. You have to get a different status in order to even apply for citizenship. You can't do it through TPS. So whoever's lying to you, they lied to you and they're just using you. But you can't be here for 16 years on TPS. It's only 18 months. I don't know who failed to tell people this, but I think in that 350,000, those people that are being removed, we're probably going to find out that a lot of them were given deportation orders and they just didn't leave. I'm just saying. I got 2 more short clips to get to, and then we will end the broadcast for today.
Capitol Hill are calling for Maine Democrat Graham Plattner to end his Senate campaign.
Democrats have seen that seat in Maine currently held by Susan Collins as a must-win if they want to take control of the Senate, but Plattner's chances and his campaign in general are now in question following a serious accusation of sexual assault. Amy Lou is live now in Washington. Amy, where does Plattner's campaign stand right now?
Well, Jack and Lauren, we know that Plattner has said he is taking the time now to reflect on the best path for his campaign. In the meantime, though, experts are saying that this new allegation has now cast some serious doubt and has done its damage, throwing Democrats' national strategy into chaos just ahead of November's midterm elections.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens next. Now, this last one is very interesting. Now, this is about Mitch McConnell, though. We did get into this a little bit yesterday, but this is interesting.
This morning, before I did my radio show, we talked for about 17 minutes. You know, he talked a lot about the situation with Iran, talked a little bit about Ukraine. It was good to hear his voice. Voice sounded strong and sounded like he was keeping up with the news to me.
Did you ask him how he was feeling?
Yeah, he said he was feeling okay, obviously well enough to call me on the phone and obviously well enough to talk to Barrasso and Thune. Now, look, I'm not qualified to discuss any medical issues or give you any information about that. That's really for him or his staff to do.
What? Nobody heard from Mitch McConnell for 3 weeks, and today you talk to him about Iran and the history of the vice presidency and the history of the Senate? What? I'm sorry, I don't buy that at all. How bizarre was that from Scott Jennings, who went from having no problem speculating about Joe Biden's health for 4 years and Lloyd Austin's health and Dianne Feinstein's health, but suddenly he doesn't want to comment on Mitch McConnell's health because he's not a medical expert? What?
Yeah. And we throw David Scott's name in there because I had been talking about that. That man had been seen for like 4 years. 4 years. Who was running his seat? And I was calling for an investigation on that, and no one had said anything. They just kind of moved along. They're like, oh, unfortunately, he's passed away. So, right before the primaries. So, there were still signs of him out because, yeah. Yeah, but nobody said anything about David Scott. Now, he was a House of Representatives for District 13 here in the state of Georgia. No one had seen him for 4 years. He was refusing debates. Nobody ever seen him or spoke to him or had any communication with him, but his team was putting out all the things for him. I was like, who was voting for this guy? Like, what was really going on? And there's been no investigation. There should be an investigation into all of these people. When they go dark, and what I mean by that is when you don't see them and then you find out they're incapacitated and they're in the hospital, it should be automatic. We are rerunning the seat. They're done. They're done. Like Dianne Feinstein, she didn't even know where she was half the time. Really? Ruth Bader Ginsburg, we didn't know where she was. So I know that these people want to hold on to this power so hard, but there needs to be investigations. And we can't let you investigate yourselves. Yeah, we do that and everything, and nothing happens. We can't let the FBI do it. We can't trust them. We can't trust you guys. You've been given authority and you can't be trusted. And it's really sad. So we have to figure something out. We need an independent counsel, outside resources to do a forensic audit for these seats that have been, not necessarily vacated, but while the people were incapacitated, who was voting on their behalf? Who was running the communications, and when did they really find out that they were incapacitated, and why weren't the rest of us informed, and why wasn't there anything done about it? Like right now, Mitch McConnell, his seat should be removed. Yeah, I know it's right before the election, but something needs to happen where either somebody's going to step in, right, or his seat is up right now, and we need to replace him so that votes can happen. Yeah, it's a little bit interesting because he's incapacitated. Oh, and by the way, his wife went to China and met with like the second highest running official. What is she doing? She is in no official capacity to meet with any type of government officials on foreign soil. Yeah, this is all getting interesting. But thank you guys so much for joining me here on our Women and Wellness Wednesday. Tomorrow we'll be back with Might Have Been Thursday. And remember, stay well, stay focused, and stay unfiltered. We'll see you in the next one.